Okay, that's not gonna work. Let's try down here. That might work out. Probably too tall, but still. Anyway, let's give these bad boys a test. Alright. A little bit of a tall. Let's try that. Alright, start with some side plank. Spread out your fingers, line up your shoulders, your hips. Top hand's optional. You can always keep that one here if you want. Just make sure if your hand's resting on your hips, you're not pressing them down also. You want to keep your body lined up from your neck to your heels. Really want to get fancy? You could try to lift that top leg, and it's really advanced though, so at your own discretion. Lower the legs down, hands come down, back to plank. Lower your knees and press the sit bones back. And lengthen your neck as you inhale. Feel a little bit of rise and fall in the upper body as you breathe. When you're ready, you can make your way back up to tabletop. All right. So feet are going to come back out to plank. This time, blade of the right foot, spread out the right fingertips, and carefully make your way up to side plank. Carefully lower down. Knees lower, press it back. We'll make our way up to tabletop with a big breath. Line up your hands and knees under your shoulders and your wrists. Take a few breaths to limber up the spine. So inhale, lengthen the front of the body, that front facing spine, from the throat all the way down to the pelvis. With your exhale, spine curves, lifts from the center, gaze turns towards the thighs, tailbone tucks. Just continue through cat and cow as you breathe. Lift as you inhale. Curve as you exhale. Probably should have started here. I was just really eager to do side plank. All right, we'll come back to our tabletop. Shoulders up and back. Toes tucked underneath. Fingertips spread out. And you can always take a little bit of a longer stance if you want. Shoulders behind the wrists instead of over top them. Toes tucked. Inhale, lift the knees. Downward facing dog. And you're trying to send weight out to each one of your fingertips, not just pressing into every other finger, picking your favorites. Gotta press down and let your hands work as a team. Sit bones reach up and back. And lengthening that front side of the spine so that you don't start to curve or arch like in your cat pose. On an exhale, we're going to come forward into plank. Shoulders over the wrists, shoulders up and back. You just want to kind of rotate your arms so that the inseam of your elbows points forward. That way, when we exhale, the elbows bend back. Chaturanga. Inhale, forward and up into cobra once you land. Remember, your hands aren't pushing you from the floor. The top of your head is lifting you up and away from the floor. Hands are just here as support. Sometimes pressing the feet down a little more firmly can help also. And we're going to exhale, lower down. Catch your breath. You're going to make a pillow with your hands, one stacked on the other. Just rest your forehead there for a moment. All right, I know it's going to be tough, but we're going to throw things into reverse and make our way back up to plank. So tuck the toes underneath, fingertips spread out, elbows hug into the sides. We're going to take a big breath in. Exhale, slowly lift back up to plank. Try to move as one. You don't want to swing your hips and then your shoulders or vice versa. All right, toes are tucked underneath. From here, we're going to start to walk the hands back until we make our way to a forward fold. And pressing into the feet. Your entire foot should be pressed down into your mat. Inhale, lengthen. Heels stay down. Exhale, fold. That's the doorbell, and I feel bad for whoever is in our driveway looking at my ass right now. Inhale up. No idea who that is. All right. Come back to the front of our mat. Oh, sorry. Give me a sec. What? I don't know. All right. Anyway, where were we? Side plank. Oh yeah, our sun salutations. All right, so feet are pressing down, toes spread out. You want to get some good balance. Shoulders are up and back. Inhale, arms overhead. Long spine. Remember, you're folding at the hips, not in the lower back. So keep the spine long as you exhale and rotate those hips. Feet stay pressing down. Now feel the weight of your pose as it transfers from one muscle to another, starts to recruit other muscles around them. Big breath in, lots of length. On the exhale, we're going to step that right leg back into a low lunge. So I'm going to start with our back knee down. And sometimes keeping the toes tucked can offer more of a stretch, but if you need to alleviate some of that tension, you can always untuck the toes. So front foot and back knee are dragging towards each other, like they were trying to meet in that center of your mat. Shoulders are up and back, heart is lifted. We don't want to be hunched over our leg too much. As we're breathing, the hips are doing this kind of turning action. So we're kind of moving with the length of our muscles. Feeling them start to stretch and loosen up as we breathe. One more big breath in. On the exhale, we're going to start to walk the hands back, lift the front toes, but the heel stays down as we kind of pull the hips back into at least a gentle version of Hanumanasana. So again, we're kind of turning the hips, especially so that left sit bone is pulling away from our heel. And remember, all your muscles are trying to draw in towards your center. You don't want to just put all your weight on that back leg. Whole body is working here, even if we're noticing it in one particular part the most. On an exhale, you can make your way back to your low lunge. So we're going to press into that front foot. We're going to try and balance on it and press down enough so that as we lift up, we can bring that back leg forward into a standing forward fold like before. The next inhale, step it up. Exhale to sink into that fold. You can take a few more breaths if you need. The next inhale, arms come overhead. Exhale down to the sides. Remember, it's always good to check in with your footing, especially when we're stepping forward and back. Sometimes our stance can get a little misaligned, the toes can start coming out, little things like that. Shoulders up and back, inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Big breath in, extend. Exhale, fold. This time, left leg steps it back into low lunge. So again, while that right hip is kind of drawing back away from that stationary front knee, it's like we're tucking the tailbone on that right side, kind of drawing the hip on that left side a little bit more forward. Deep breaths. On your next exhale, we're going to start to shift the hips and the hands back, lift those front toes. Again, it's like all the muscles in your body, legs, shoulders, everything is trying to draw in towards those hips to support them here. We'll take 2 more rounds of breath like this. Exhale, we'll bring it forward. All right, so this time we're going to press into that front foot with our inhale to step it forward. into our Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Big breath in. Exhale, sink into the fold. Grab each of the elbows, just kind of gently hang for a moment. And as you inhale, kind of lift the hips and the sit bones up, away from the heels. And the exhale, just kind of let that energy flow towards the upper body as it hangs. Maybe swing side to side a little bit. Try and lengthen the spine. Release the arms. Inhale, up to standing. Exhale down to the sides. All right. So we're going to keep working on those hips and thighs, but now we're going to move to a pyramid pose. So we're going to take our stance a little bit wider than it normally would be. Bring your feet a little more closer to the edges of your mat. And make sure that the blades of your feet are parallel with the edge of that mat. Again, we don't want the toes to point out or step off. Hands to the hips, right leg is going to take a little step back. Again, not as wide as our lunge. You still want to be able to keep that back heel down. You don't want it to be so wide that it's lifted up. You just want that foot to be able to stay flat. Oh, excuse me. Again, with the hips, we're going to rotate so that they're more forward facing. Feet are pressed down and drawing towards the center, towards each other. Inhale the arms up. And with the exhale, we're just going to lean right into that forward fold. And keep the hips turning as you fold. And as we move, certain muscles want to shorten. Maybe some that we don't use very often are trying to get out of carrying their fair share. And as long as we continue to stretch with intention, purposefully trying to push the weight onto those muscles, starting to stretch them in ways that they may enjoy avoiding. That's how we're going to start to see significant increases in flexibility. It doesn't mean it has to be one big step. And yoga is a slow process. Same goes for improvement. So you can stay here if you want. If you want to add a little bit of a twist, you can take your right hand to the inside of the left leg and feet press down, drag towards each other. Engage the thighs, engage the hips, and you can start to lift that left arm up into more of a twist. Again, don't be in a rush to reach for the sky. Take your time. Make sure that everything below your hips is still supporting you, even as you start to adjust everything above the hips. One more big breath in. On the exhale, make your way down to pyramid first. Press into those feet. Inhale up to standing. Back leg steps it forward. And take a minute, you can move the toes around, roll the ankles a bit. Yeah, remember we're starting off with that wider stance. Left leg steps it back to center. So just like before, we're still turning them, except this time we're going to be turning towards the right rather than the left. That way, when we fold, the right hip is going to be reaching away from that front ankle, and the left hip is going to be reaching forward away from that back heel. Tailbones tucked, tall stance, long spine. You can even take a few breaths here, just get used to that motion. And when you're ready, you can use an inhale to sweep the arms up. Fold with the exhale. And really emphasize that rotation of the pelvis. Sometimes it helps to move slowly. That way your muscles have to move slowly with you. We can't just skip over ones that we normally would. And both heels pressing down, feet dragging towards each other, hips trying to lift up and twist. Just like with our regular forward fold, every few breaths, you can lengthen the spine out and just try to sink down from the center of the chest rather than from your face. And it's easy to lead with the nose, but you can kind of see how that messes with your posture. And you can stay here or start to work your way into that pyramid twist or inverted triangle, I believe it's called. Like I said, I've been out of work for a while because of COVID, so forgive me if I can't remember all these poses, specific names, in a language that's been dead for 2 millennia. Slowly make your way back to pyramid. And inhale to slowly lift up. And that's not to throw any shade on Sanskrit. It's a really cool ancient language. I just have not been doing my homework in 2020, unfortunately. All right, back leg steps it forward. And take a moment, move the toes, the ankles. All right, now for some side stretches. So we're gonna take a wider stance on our mat. Actually, I'm starting to heat up a little bit. All right, so you want to take a wider stance. Feet are pressing down. Try and spread out your toes as much as you can. Tailbone is tucked, shoulders up and back. Inhale, arms overhead. Again, every limb extending away from your core center. Exhale down. Inhale up. And feet press down, fingers reach out. All right, we're going to do one more, but this time we're going to fold forward with that exhale. So inhale up. Again, keep the spine straight and long. It's the hips that are doing the moving. Just like before, inhale to extend. Exhale to fold. And you take a few breaths, maybe just starting to kind of move the hips a little bit one way and the other. Stretching those inner thighs, outer thighs, whatever you find is tight. Just make sure the feet stay pressing down. You don't want to start lifting one foot or the other as you sway. And after a few breaths, see if maybe you can take your stance a little bit wider. Little steps, heel to toe. Cool. And whenever you're doing stretches with the hips and thighs, sometimes it takes them a while to begin cooperating, but as long as you're patient, they'll eventually come around. And remember, with the legs long, we don't want to completely buckle the knees. It's hard to see because as comfy as these Buddha pants are, they're really baggy. But you don't want to lock your joints. You want to keep a little bit of a bend so that the muscles that stabilize your joint are still working. All right, so if you did widen your stance, see if you can shorten it a little bit, somewhere where you're comfortable to come back up to standing. Long spine, inhale, arms up. Exhale, down to the sides. All right, I think we're going to start on the right. So pressing into that right heel, we're going to lift the toes up and pivot the foot so that it faces forward. We still want our heels to be lined up. You should be able to draw a straight line from up here all the way back to your back heel. Shoulders are up and back. Again, your hips are squared outward, your shoulders are squared outward. But from your shoulders above, you're gonna start to turn the gaze out, same direction as the foot. Inhale, arms come out to the sides. With an exhale, you're gonna bend that front knee into warrior two. Again, sometimes if you're like me, you get a little overzealous, you can always shorten your stance by heel-toeing that back foot a little bit forward, especially if you find yourself struggling to keep both feet down. Yeah, just doing yoga with the internet. All right, first we're going to inhale to a peaceful warrior. Right hand lifts. Again, lengthening that right side from the fingers down to the hip. With the exhale, front arm comes down to the thigh. Top arm is going to reach forward. Extended side angle. So again, you want that top shoulder to be reaching back. You don't want it to kind of lower down in front of the face and towards the center of the mat. You're going to be drawing it towards the wall behind you. With an inhale, we're going to make our way back up to that warrior two. And straighten the front leg, turn the toes, and we're going to switch. So now, left toes lift, point in the opposite direction. Again, hips stay squared outward. A lot of times our body wants to kind of follow the toes as they point this way. We're going to work against that for now, for the sake of our stretch. I don't know about you, I tend to feel it more on the inside of the thighs, and even a little bit of the lower abdominal muscles. Inhale, arms out. And gaze looks over those left fingertips. Exhale, bend the front knee. Warrior two. Again, I'm a little overzealous, so I'm going to shorten my stance a bit. So like I said, you're looking to feel the stretch, but you also want to make sure you feel safe while doing it. Big breath in, left hand up, peaceful warrior. Remember, you don't want to buckle that back leg. Keep a little bit of softness behind that knee. One more big breath in. Exhale, Parsva Konasana. Extended side angle. So again, we're just letting the left forearm rest on the thigh. We're not putting all of our weight down on it. We're keeping that strength towards the center, keeping that length in the spine. Inhale, make your way back up to warrior. Straighten the legs, turn them forward. Do your hips a serious solid and start to walk the feet back into center. Whew. Take a minute, shake it out. All right. You know what, this one is definitely optional at home. If you do arm balances pretty often, then this should be no problem, but I've been working on my crow pose, so I'm gonna try and work there. But if you'd like to join me, we're gonna start off in goddess. So you want your stance to be a little bit wider than the hips, but not as wide as, you know, when we first came to this wide angle stance. You can lift the toes, point them a little bit out towards the corners of your mat. Stay pressing the inside of those feet. Inhale the arms up. On an exhale, you're going to lower the sit bones. Again, rotating the hips in the process. as you come down to goddess. And feet stay pressing down. All right, let's give this a try. From here, again, you fold in the hips, bring the body forward, press the hands down. You can even shorten your goddess stance a little bit to bring the knees behind the arms. Actually, I need to take a step back here. So I don't fall flat on my face. All right, fingertips spread out, pressing down into each finger, into each knuckle. Lean the weight a little more onto the arm so you can comfortably lift the feet away. And shoulders are up and back. We're drawing in towards that center. We're not getting distracted by instructing yoga to the internet. Oh, then we are. Whew. No, you know what? No, that's not your fault. That's my fault. That's just a tough pose. All right. All right. Either way, we're going to come down to seated from here afterwards. So lower down, bring the legs out in front. And your feet are flexed, shoulders are up and back. Remember, even just sitting up at a 90-degree angle, that can be strenuous, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't mean you're not good at yoga. It just means these are muscles that you need to recondition, muscles you need to teach how to behave better. Because there is no being bad at yoga. There's only getting better at it. All right, so sit up tall, extend in that 90-degree angle in the body. Inhale the arms overhead. But as we exhale forward, remember, you're not reaching with the hands. You're reaching from the heart, that center, as you fold. Maybe you reach the toes, maybe you don't. Just keep the feet flexed. Lengthen with that inhale, and then try to exhale into a deeper fold. Again, these are little steps. I've been practicing yoga for like 7 years, and I'm still only here. Because yoga is not like capitalism. It's not all about the immediate results, the immediate payout. Yoga is like Monopoly. It's a long game. It'll piss you off a lot. But it's rewarding because you build better relationships in the end of it. I'm just kidding. Everyone loses friends in Monopoly. All right. Once we come back up to seated, we're going to bend let's bend the right leg first. So that the foot can come flat. And again, if you're not a huge twister, if you don't like to do twists very often, or you find that you have trouble with them, you can always keep the foot to the inside of the leg. That's going to be like the starting position for this twist. However, if you want to work your hips a little bit more, if you feel like maybe they've loosened up enough, you can step that right leg over the left. Just make sure that the foot can stay flat and that you're not lifting the sit bone up away from the floor. You want to sit up nice and tall and lots of length, especially down that front-facing spine. Big breath in. Bring the right hand behind you. Slowly twist and hug the knee with the left arm. Remember, shoulders are up and back. Your hips and sit bones are staying right where they are. This time it's the shoulders that are rotating. It's up to us to kind of breathe into that central spine, behind the rib cage, above the tailbone. Just going to breathe and send energy to that area as it tries to kind of make sense out of what the hips and the shoulders are trying to do. Sorry, this is one of my problem sides, so spending a little extra time on it, but when you're ready, you can inhale back to center. Carefully unwind the legs, take them out in front, and move the toes, the knees, ankles. Warm up the joints a little bit. And when you're ready, left knee bends, foot comes flat. Again, you can stay here. This still provides a very satisfying twist. Only if you're looking for that little bit of extra stretch in the hips do you need to step the foot over. So foot stays pressing down, seated nice and tall. Big breath in. And bring that left hand behind. Try and bring the palm flat. Keep the spine long as you twist. And right leg hugs the opposite knee. And if you can't keep that back hand flat, you can at least lift the fingers a little bit. Just make sure you're not dropping all your weight onto that back arm. Deep breath. Inhale back to center. Carefully reverse the steps. Move the toes. Sit up and roll shoulders a bit. And scoot forward a little bit so your feet come to the end of your mat. We're going to lower down and get ready for Shavasana. But if you want to give your muscles one last chance to shine, you can do what my friend calls the dentist chair, where without support from the hands, you try and lower down as slowly as you can, like those ominous few moments at the dentist before they start stabbing at your teeth and your gums. Except now we get to relax. Once we get all the way to the floor, no oral acupuncture, just relaxation. And you can keep the hands over the heart and the belly. You can extend them out to the sides with the palms facing up. The feet can reach out towards either corner at the front of the mat. Just start to relax. Start to focus on your breath again. Feel that big rise as you breathe in the body. As you exhale, feel the front of the body melt down towards the floor. Again, if it helps you keep track of your breath, you can always count. Maybe 4 as you inhale, 4 as you exhale. And 4 is a good place to start, but as your breath deepens, you can lift it to 6 as you inhale and exhale, or an 8 count cycle. Just remember, you're not trying to regulate your breath. You're not trying to control where it can go. You're just letting it expand freely in whichever direction it chooses. Even if that direction runs across muscles that maybe aren't so competent. Muscles that they do their job, but they're not used to us asking a little bit more of them. Our breath helps us kind of cut through that tension. Helps us kind of dust the cobwebs off of those muscles we don't use too often, the ones that are in the back of the closet. in Shavasana is our corpse pose. It's where we lie still. It's where we don't ask our body favors, we ask what it needs, what it can do to relax. Slowly let your breath start to return to normal. And you can move the fingers and the toes. Kind of waking the muscles up a little bit. Slowly, not jarringly. Bring the hands over the eyes. And slowly start to flicker the eyes open, getting them used to natural light slowly on the outside of our hands. While you do that, you can bend the knees so that your feet come flat. The knees are going to come together. And once you're ready to let your eyes behold the real world again, you can roll over onto your right side. Cross the left side of your body over with you and press your way up to seated. Take your time making your way to a comfy, cross-legged seated position. I'm going to sit up nice and tall. Hands are going to come to prayer. May you be safe. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be at peace. The light within me recognizes the light within you. Namaste. Well, it's my first time trying one of these live videos, so I'm sure it's terrible, but I promise I can only get better from here. All right, to anybody that was, weird enough to get up and do yoga with me, thank you very much. I'm gonna try and see if I can do this more often, maybe a couple times a week to start, while I get the hang of it. But yeah, I'll see you then. Oh, that's right, I gotta figure out how to turn this off now. I'm gonna guess it's this big red button here. Wait, there we go.